Hi, it's Romy. Welcome to my channel, Capricorn. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. This is your February 2021 soul story. So if you have Capricorn sun, rising or moon, these readings are general, but you might find that some of the messages and insights are resonant for you, and they may well help you just to navigate the month ahead. So we are opening up your reading as we move into this Aquarius season with the energy of the Six of Cups. Not a surprise really, because we are now into Mercury retrograde, and there is this feeling of nostalgia and of returning and reflecting on the journey that you've just been on, but also perhaps to those aspects of your life that have gone through a really profound transition and change. Now the Sun, Venus, Mercury, Saturn and Jupiter are all lighting up the sky in Aquarius, and I think you're still very much in the process of transitioning from Earth into air energy. One of the things that I think is going to be front and centre stage in your mind through February, Capricorn, is this idea of looking at the traditional versus the new in your life. And that's going to be applicable from a relationship perspective, from the way that you approach things, perhaps your ideas about, some of the conscious choices and changes you want to make in your life path, maybe by way of career and vocation. And it's about really coming to terms with the things that you are wanting to keep, the things that still hold value and still have something to offer. And perhaps this retrograde energy and this returning quality of looking at what has worked well for you in the past, or sustained and nurtured you through the process of, the powerful shifts that you've been on in your soul journey. But also like opening up, welcoming in this Aquarius, very forward-thinking, progressive energy, and just trying to identify where there is now space in your life to start thinking about new ways of doing things, new ways of looking at things, new ways of thinking about things. And, that Six of Cups energy might have you very nostalgic, but also, tenderly really taking time to be with yourself in the course of this month, and not kind of skip and want to rush ahead. It's a really beautiful time for active reevaluation and for making some important adjustments and edits. Now, on the 11th of the month, we've got a new moon in Aquarius, and there's a gorgeous Venus and Jupiter conjunction that's coming in at that time. And it really can be noted as being one of these aspects where it's like where dreams are made, the stuff of memories, that really things that, may well happen that you will think back on for a very long time to come. And so it's a beautiful, auspicious energy. Keep an eye out. Obviously, it's activating your second house of value. So you might have something come in that's a little bit surprising and makes you feel elevated or boosted by way of, relationships, what's happening in and around money, or just things that can make you feel more comfortable and secure within yourself. I think there's an important note that I want to present that came through as I was connecting into your energy, Capricorn, and that February is not just about sitting in the waiting room of your life. It's about starting to make those new plans about where you want to be and how you want to lead. And you may well be looking around thinking, what I want doesn't exist, or I can't find it. That might be, the partner, it might be the social group, the community, the job, the way you look and feel. So it's really an invitation through the course of this month to actually start to initiate something for yourself. If it isn't already out there, it's Spirit saying, don't just sit and wait for it to come to you. Start to actively take that evaluation of what it would take to manifest it and bring it in. And I think that you can feel a tremendous amount of motivation and inspiration if you approach it in that way. Now we've got the Two of Pentacles coming in because there is some adjustment and adapting that we need to take into account through February. There's a lot of short-term plans that are the best way to kind of deal with Mercury retrograde, putting too much store on things being fixed and having expectations that everything is going to go the way that we want can often be met with sort of disappointment or challenge or frustration. And so the more adaptable and resourceful you can be, the easier you're going to find this month to move through. Okay, it's a hugely shifting season. I think for many of you, there's also going to be new ideas coming in by way of income streams. So perhaps if you're looking at a second job or trying to boost your income, or just thinking about ways to expand your current situation by way of more abundance, I think keep a close eye on what's coming through. You may even want to revisit something from the past, Capricorn, because there's something of value there, perhaps what you've done before, what you've seen before. Now, there might be a change, a way to make it bigger, better, brighter, bolder, or just more in alignment with what you need at this exact moment. There's a recognition, though, I think that we're always in transition. We're always readying and preparing ourselves to come alive into what happens next. And the thing is, so much of that can be unknown. But when we feel secure within who we are and the changes that are happening at a deeper level, we can start to embrace the moments when things start to come into bloom, even though there may be aspects surrounding us that are not. Now, I love this energy for you, because these bear cubs, it's almost like they've come out of hibernation. And I think it's probably feeling a little bit that way for some of you as you start to feel the restriction and the heaviness lift of a lot of the energy that's been working on you. And so much of this is about celebration and coming into a time of harmony as you realize the accomplishment and what you've achieved for yourself. But there is that sort of emergence and awakening of coming and getting used to it. And also being okay with the fact that you might not have all the details or know everything that you need to know at this exact time. But you can still feel firm in the foundations that you've laid for yourself, knowing that you've got this really beautiful platform with which to build moving forward. And again, talking about this idea of how you can associate looking at the traditional versus the new, I think is really important. Now, 4 of Wands for me is also linked into that kind of home environment, whether it be our own property or the places that we work or reside. And I think it's important that you're also recognizing maybe some changes or shifts that you want to make in that way that can be more reflective of how you're changing, and perhaps how your tastes have changed or the type of energy that you want to have around you. That's going to be really conducive as you work with that introspective energy of retrograde to kind of be inspired by new things and almost be able to communicate and express yourself more easily as well. Because sometimes, when we work with the retrograde, particularly when in Aquarius, it can make us a little spaced out and vacant. Maybe find it a bit more difficult to emotionally connect, but it should feel a lot lighter than some of the retrogrades that we experienced through the course of 2020, so that's positive. Now, Mercury does move direct on the 20th. Just ahead of that, we have this really tense square between Saturn and Uranus. It's the first of 3. We've got June 14th and then December 24th. We played with this energy last year and we'll revisit the conversation in 2022. So what it's talking to you about by way of the balance between control and freedom, you need to listen to, because it's going to be playing out on the collective stage. But what we want to understand is, what is it meaning to us on a deeply personal level? Now, your Hierophant comes in and says there's wisdom here. There's something we need to learn about ourselves by way of the personal interpretation that we are working with as we seek to feel more emotionally secure, as we seek to feel like we have control of our lives and that we're not completely disempowered, and how that's pressured against this need to break free, to revolutionize, to liberate ourselves. And so the Hierophant kind of depicts this maze, because I think at times it is causing that real fractious push-pull energy within you, but also around you at the moment. You are very supported in your quest right now. And the other thing that shows up for me, which I love for you in February, Capricorn, is that there's going to be support coming from surprising places. But what I'm going to say to you is, pay attention to what your response is. Is it one of mistrust, or is it one of embracing and relief and readiness to just have that new way of being able to connect or to communicate? Because for me, there's something about a shift in the learning that's coming in by way of how you connect to community, to people, to friendships, and, you know, perhaps people that you're working with or within your own soul family, and how you relate and respond. So the support is going to come in, but what you're going to gain from the experience is watching and observing how you literally respond to that, okay? It's a time when we want to see you really nourishing the space around you, the relationships around you, most importantly with yourself, and really making sure that you feel safe and secure and comfortable, so that you are giving yourself that beautiful platform with which to move forward. Now, your Knight of Cups energy coming in nods to me about this Venus-ruled second house. So you may well have some really beautiful changes that are happening in and around the way people value and see you. And that might mean that more offers are coming forth, perhaps people that are interested in you romantically or professionally, or even by way of connecting, networking, because they're interested in what you have to say, how you're saying it, or what you're kind of putting out there to the world. So there is this beautiful kind of transition and shedding that's happened with your energy, and you are going to see people acting differently towards you. So don't be surprised, because I actually have this sense of some of you thinking like, where's this coming from? But it really is because you're shining a different kind of a light, you know. Now, the Knight of Cups may well be a water sign, Cancerian, Pisces, Scorpio. If you are in a relationship situation, there is a little bit of a kind of weighing up, a questioning, a sort of needing to find a point of harmony within feeling like you both understand something, you know. So there might be a little bit of crossed wires as we've got that retrograde energy, perhaps around the commitment, lack of, or maybe a promise that was discussed and now we're returning to it to reevaluate it. Just remember, during retrograde, you know, anything that you do try to decide or kind of hash out or come to terms with is probably going to require another visit just to get it really kind of anchored and put into some sense of structure in order to make it be meaningful and lasting, you know, because everything around the energy of retrograde tends to be a little bit temporary. But it does feel certainly that the offer is that's coming forth by way of somebody coming towards you feels earnest, if I'm honest. I feel like it wants to bring in more balance for you. It wants to give you the opportunity to invite in a little bit of a different frequency, okay? I think that there is an aspect of trust that's being sort of like thrown up. So maybe that's just your own worry around whether this is really sustainable or whether it's too good to be true, something like that. It feels that, you know, there is a quality of you needing to embrace the things that are showing up for you this month and just allow them without judgment, you know. And maybe, yes, for some of you they might be fleeting, you know. It might just be an experience that doesn't have a lot of permanence or lasting you know, energy around it, but that's okay too, you know. It's still okay to invite in times where we can experience joy, particularly in the backdrop of things that might feel much heavier and more onerous. So how do you celebrate that joy even when you may be looking at other people that are struggling or not experiencing that? It doesn't need to rob you of your own ability to tap into that energy. Just remember that, okay? So when we come into the latter part of the month and we move into Pisces season, Venus also enters Pisces on the 25th, and then we have a full moon in the sign of Virgo coming in on the 27th of the month. And this very deeply spiritual water sign really helps you to consider the way that you think and how you are expressing and how you are connecting in that aspect of your life. And I think that there are plans and that there are important, there's important information that you're ready to share. And it might be for some of you things that you've sat on or held back from saying for quite a while, but there's something about the timing, particularly just toward the end of the month, where I feel you're going to be secure enough and sovereign enough in your own energy to say, okay, now I'm trusting my intuition. This is the right moment with which to share, to express, to communicate what I have to say about this particular situation and how I feel about it, okay? like we said, it's not about you sitting in the waiting room. As you are able to step up, you will find that how you can cope with this very dynamic tension that's playing out, with that Saturn squaring Uranus energy and how it pervades the month, is going to come from a place of you just being as centered and grounded and in your own energy as much as possible. But for me, that gives you a newfound confidence in some aspect of your life. And I think that's going to also be really beneficial if you've been feeling incredibly stuck, or you've been feeling impacted by way of your value, just sort of like you've been left high and dry, or you're kind of outside, or there's a little bit of tough hardship or challenge around you because of circumstances completely out with your control. So your Ten of Cups energy comes in and brings something to a point of fruition. There is high emotion around a situation and a level of intensity that's coming in as well through the course of February that you need to make sure from a physical perspective you're clearing out. Otherwise, I've got you just holding yourself exceptionally stiff, and just holding that tension, particularly in the neck, the shoulders, and kind of the upper back. So just be a little bit aware of that, all right? But what we're looking at is your realization, and we talked about this last month a little bit, didn't we, about the routes to happiness that have been emerging for you. And I think that this is the initiation of you starting to put those things into place for yourself, even if it's as simple as just making a plan. Knowing the plan might change, that's okay, but just taking some sense of control within your own pathway at the moment, so that you start to feel a little bit more hopeful and optimistic about what's to come. Now, I think there's also something going on within the family dynamic, and perhaps information or secrets or things that are coming to light that perhaps you hadn't been aware of, or again, maybe it is you're the one that is deciding that now is the time to present this. I think that if you're coming at it from a place of just not wanting to shock, not wanting to disarm, but rather just to educate, and rather allow yourself the opportunity to move past or move away from what has felt perhaps like a heavy burden, or something that you've not enjoyed keeping or holding back, and the same if it's somebody else. So there's like a liberating, clearing energy that I have around this, even though it may be all a little bit tangled. There's kind of a tangled situation around this somewhat. If this is not blood family, you may well find that this shows up by way of a social group, friendship group, your soul family, or even within a workplace. But something along the theme of this emerging is coming up quite strongly for me. You must give yourself permission, Capricorn, this month. What do you need to give yourself permission for? We're also really overhauling our whole relationship in and around abundance and money. And so there's some really interesting things getting thrown up for you by way of that particular theme. So pay attention to your response. That's where you're going to get rich information. When we're in retrograde, particularly in Aquarius season, it is a month where everything that's coming at us back into our awareness is here to help us. And I see that, when I'm looking at this read, that you are in a place of just kind of openness and receptivity, which is fantastic. I have you quite calm, if I'm honest. Like, I'm just feeling really calm as I'm doing the reading. So, I have you quite leveled, even though there is emotional intensity around different aspects of what might be playing out for you. But I think you're kind of long in the tooth in a couple of different areas. And so there's not any big surprises that feel like, there are things that you can't handle. There is a couple of moments where I feel there's some jaggy energy, and it's almost like maybe you'll come into contact, or you're certainly already aware of some particularly difficult or prickly energies and how they're trying to deal with certain situations and what they're up to by way of their approach. And, it doesn't really feel like something that we want you to engage in. You've got far more harmonious, balanced, harmonizing energy that's coming in. And if you can keep focused on that constant stream of conscious information from your higher self and your guides, that's going to keep you on track and exactly where you need to be. Beautiful creativity coming through as well. And so I think there's a burst of energy that may well come through for some of you around that new moon with that beautiful Venus-Jupiter conjunction. But regardless of when it shows up, I do feel you feeling kind of quietly excited within yourself, and that's okay. Like, don't allow guilt to kind of come in and say, oh my goodness, I shouldn't be feeling this right now when there's so much going on, and you know, it's maybe not the right time. It is absolutely the right time. You don't allow yourself to move forward at this moment, then you're going to rob yourself of some really beautiful life experiences that are coming and coalescing into your pathway, okay? So just keep that in mind for me. So we're going to go ahead and pull an animal oracle and just see how this wants to complement your reading. That full moon in Virgo is also making a really lovely alignment for you. It's a fellow earth sign, so it's going to be trining with you. That's coming in on the 27th, and I think you're going to see something nice come to fruition, or a sense of validation coming in. So your animal energy is companionship and the dog. Okay, so questions around loyalty, around promises, commitment, and just not feeling alone, really feeling safe and supported. Like I said, support's going to be showing up for you this month, okay? It might come from the people or the places that you least expected it to, but please be open. It's helping you to gain focus as well, you know, and I think that's important. It's almost like you didn't realize you were missing it until it showed up, and then all of a sudden it's like this beautiful deep exhale that I have coming from you, that's just a demonstration of perhaps what was missing, and now that it's shown up, there's almost like a readiness to say, okay, now I've got the green light, and a sense of just feeling like perhaps things are starting to come together in one area of your life at least, okay? You should start to feel that. So look out around the Virgo full moon for a tangible manifestation where you have put in investment and energy and directed it towards something. So these are inspiration cards by Autumn Skye. You can find them on Etsy, and they have beautiful affirmations. So let's just see what was coming out. Okay, so we have this beautiful child, and on the back, perfection. Reclaim your innocence. You're a child of the universe. Remember your spiritual essence. See the divinity in all beings. You know, we have this nod to the childlike quality with the Six of Cups, and of course your spiritual essence coming through with your High Priestess and your Hierophant here. And so the reminder that you are safe and protected, and that as you move through your soul journey, and particularly this month, the more you can allow people to be where they are without expecting them to change in ways that you are looking to validate your particular experience, the easier you are going to find this month, the more you will gain by way of growth, you know. What do you need to feel innocent about again? You know, you may have felt robbed of many things through the course of last year, but there are energies that want to emerge through the month of February that want to light you up and give you that sense of just feeling hopeful and optimistic. It doesn't matter how small the spark is, just hold on to it and let it keep burning for you, okay? So Capricorn, this is a general reading for February. If you want to join me for the extended, I'm going to go ahead and just pull us some additional clarifying cards. If you're new to the channel, we basically just do another 20 minutes or so and deliver further insights and messages. And I'm going to invite you to just think about a question that might not have been answered in the main general reading. We'll pull a couple of cards for that and go into it in the extended reading. You can find the link for that in the description box underneath my video here. So just starting out with the Six of Cups. Okay, we have the energy of the Lovers, perhaps looking back to what has transpired within a specific relationship. The Seven of Cups, very retrograde energy, isn't it? The confusion, the uncertainty, the not knowing. But we have a Queen of Swords, so there might be an air energy here, a Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. suppose one of the statements, you know, is like, if you'd known then what you know now, would you have done things different? It's kind of leaving that open-ended for you to consider. There isn't a right or a wrong answer. The healing always comes in the directing your energy towards your own self-mastery, you know. Trying to understand the experience is where you get the relief and the release. There's your beautiful rite of passage. Death energy, perhaps it's a Scorpio or complete change coming through. We've also got fire energy here. Just going to pull a couple more here. Page of Swords and the Hanged Man. Okay, Capricorn, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. I hope you find this valuable and you've enjoyed listening. And if you're tuning in for the extended, thanks for supporting my work. I appreciate you so much. I will send you beautiful blessings for this coming month of February, and I'll talk to you again next month. Bye for now.